but I'm sure all of you will appreciate that today is Saturday. People try to wind up a little bit. My name is Dr. A.G.K. Oji. I'm going to be the compare of this location. Co-comparing the location is Sarah Sander. You know, I like beautiful ladies around me. You can see the beautiful lady that is co-comparing with me. I'm sure I don't need to introduce her, but the important thing to note that she is a very notable lady in NTU. So let's give her also a good round of applause. Today's event, if you look at your program, it's my responsibility to welcome you people. But first of all, I would like us to start with an opening prayer.
Lord, with provisions, with protections that you have extended to him over the past 75 years. It is your doing and it is marvelous in our eyes. We want to be careful to return all the praise and glory to you alone from more blessings to God. Lord, we pray that the rest of his life will be the best of his life. Amen. We commit everything we are going to do here today and all the men and women you are going to use into your hands. Without you, we are nothing and can do nothing, but with you, we are more than conquerors. Bless our time together. Glorify your name. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
When you're still standing, please can we take the national anthem? Welcome the President and Commander-in-Chief of this great nation, our dear General Muhammadu Buhari, who is very ably represented today by Dr. Hamid Muboyu, the Executive Secretary of UBEC. May we please welcome him warmly. Also today we have the Minister of Interior, Lieutenant General Dambazal, who is also ably represented today by another artillery officer, Major General E.E. Bassi. Also today we have the Minister of Education, who is also being represented by the same man that is representing our president. He has two caps today. Give him a good one. In this room today also we have the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Buratai, who is also ably represented here today by Brigadier General Shehu Yar. Please come on. He tells me he's an infantry officer with so much relish. Give him a good round. In this room also today we have the chair, the person that is going to pilot the affairs of today. And it's no other person than my senior brother, my mentor, and my friend, His Excellency Ambassador Isaac Isagi. And then I will not forget to introduce and then let us resoundingly welcome. Is he the one welcoming us? I think we're the one welcoming him. The man that today is his day. The man that is celebrating his 75th birthday. in Nigeria, where we have our life expectancy to be hovering around 52, I think when you clock 75, there's a lot of celebration. But this life is not just about celebrating his birthday. It's about celebrating excellence. It's about saying, how can we make Nigeria to be a better place? We've already started. How can we make it faster? Ladies and gentlemen, please may we give a warm welcome to Major General Sam Momah, the avid writer and engineer. You know, I was telling him this morning that my constituency is women. And there's no way I would introduce him without introducing the big gentleman that is behind him, beside him, that is making him think. Please welcome Mrs. Momah.
Praise the Lord.
And you know, before I yield the floor to my co-compare to do other recognitions, it will be not nice for me to introduce my good friend, the man that says what is in the mind of our president. Anywhere our president goes, he goes, so that he can tell us what the president says later. Ladies and gentlemen, can we welcome the presidential spokesperson, Mr. Femi Adesina. Before we go on, ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll take some more recognitions, and I will invite Senator Sanda to please use a more feminine voice to welcome other people more warmly. Give her a good round of applause, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here this afternoon to celebrate with someone I recognize as my father, General Sam Momah. He was the Minister of Science and Technology, and I was just a small reporter in those days. Happy birthday, sir. Permits me also to recognize members of my constituency, even though they've been recognized. My former minister is here. I would like once again to say thank you. Good afternoon and thank you for coming, Mr. Frank Weke Jr. And my Egbon, as I call him, he's already been introduced, but I would still like to recognize a senior colleague, Mr. Femi Adesina. Thanks for coming. We have quite a list here. I'd like to start by recognizing Elder Onoha Udeka. He's representing the President Ohaneze Ndigbo, Chief Nya Wodu. Professor Mohammed Haruna is the Executive Vice Chairman of NASENI, and he's also reviewing one of the books being presented today. We also have Mrs. Ifoma Anagbogu. She's a PERMSEC Federal Ministry of Women Affairs. Another one of my constituency. You're welcome, madam. Lady Azuka Azinge, Registrar General, Corporate Affairs Commission. You're welcome. Mr. Sam Oyeibo, he's representing the Executive Secretary of NEPC, Ambassador Shehu Awolowo. You're welcome. Architect and Mrs. Ken Momah. Welcome. Dr. I.M. Woha. You're welcome. Mr. Kunle Idiago, Minister of State, representing Minister of State Budget and Planning. You're welcome. Representative of the Chairman of ICPC, Mr. Bala Mohammed, you're welcome. Representing Dr. Cosmos Maduka, Mr. Godwin Umeaka. You're welcome. Can you please either show by raising your hands or standing up? Okay, thank you. I see a former Minister of Aviation, Mr. Osita Chidoka. You're welcome. Would you like to come and take a front row seat, please? Okay, thank you. Rear Admiral Ibe Enwo, representing the Chief of Naval Staff. You're welcome. Mr. J.O. Omuya, you're welcome. Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed is the DG Nota, representing the Minister of Science and Technology. You're welcome. Chief Dairo Amupito. You're welcome. Thank you, sir. Representative of the DG of the National Broadcasting Commission, Dr. Chibuike Ogunwike. You're welcome. And the last one for now, Dr. Mrs. E.J. Unogu, MNI, you're welcome. So we'll take more recognitions as we get them.
Can we give a warm welcome to all the people that we have recognized? We'll keep making their come and give us his opening remarks. Please welcome you very warmly.
But to set the record straight, I am Ambassador Sagi. I'm not Professor Sagi. I don't want to be stoned when I leave this place. Today we are witnessing history being made. The first one is that at 75, Sam Momah looks like a man of 50 years old. Secondly, we are looking at an author who is breaking the record books, the Guinness Book of Records, by publishing 2 books at the same time at the age of 75. I challenge anybody to tell me anywhere where a man of 75, who is in retirement, should be enjoying his life, will spend time writing books for the nation. Sam Momah, we thank you. The legacy you are leaving behind as a writer will far exceed the legacy you leave behind as a Major General in the Nigerian Army. Because long after we ourselves are dead and forgotten, the things you've written in these books will stand the test of time and will be a credit to you for the goodness you've done to your country. I know that Nigerians don't read books, which is a shame. I read the other day of a Nigerian in Canada who said that in a Canadian library, he saw more books about Nigeria than he has ever seen in Nigeria itself, which is a great shame indeed. And from time to time, we wonder how a nation that does not read books, has no bookshops, has no library, can expect to compete favorably in a global situation where excellence in academics and literature is essential. I'm glad the government is very well represented this afternoon. I beg of you, take the issue of libraries and bookshops seriously. The other day, I was talking to a colleague in Delta State, and he told me that in the whole of Delta State, there are no schools with libraries. And that even the bookshops have nothing but old newspapers and magazines. How can we as a nation expect to progress in the future without reading books? Sam Momah has taken time to read these 2 excellent books, which I'm here to digest properly. The least we can do is to read these As I said before, I'm glad that government is ably represented here. Let these books circulate even at government expense. Get the ministries to buy these books. Get the National Youth Corps to buy these books. Get the universities to buy these books. Because unless we learn to read, you will not know what is happening in the world today. And so on behalf of all of us here today, first, I want to congratulate my dear friend and brother, Sam Momah, for his 75th birthday, and also to thank him for the legacy of 2 excellent books that's left for this country. We will not be remembered for his contribution to literature in this country. I thank you.
They say if you want to hide something, put it in a book when it comes to Nigeria. But we are going to make sure that Nigeria has to change that culture. Ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate today, permit me to please also recognize and welcome some of our very great people that have just come in. I have here High Chief Dr. Pius Molalo. May you please show us a show of thank you so much. Welcome. I have my big brother, His Excellency Ambassador Uche Okeke, the former DG of NIA. Welcome, sir. I also have Dr. C.S. Wizu. That's my big brother. I see the Navy people are outside in force. Yes. I dare you. I have Mr. Imodagi Nasir, who is representing the GMD of NNPC. Yeah. Okay, I also have Emeka Etiaba Leather Silk, Sam. Welcome. I also have Rear Admiral Chris Ezekobe. Okay, he is representing the Chief of Defense Staff. Can we have him give us a wave, please? Rear Admiral Chris. What is he? Oh, please, we want to see you. Can you raise your hand and then people recognize you? This is a very young Rear Admiral. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're getting there. We still have also Director General, National Board for Technology, Incubation Engineer, Dr. Mohammed Jibril. Give him a good welcome. We also have Engineer Mbadefo. Engineer Mbadefo is here. Can we see him? Eba Wakizo. Please, can you give him there's a seat for you here, sir. We want to see you. Give him a good round of applause, please. And then also, I said Navy people are here in full force. My good friend, a member of the Federal House of Representatives, representing Navy, Honorable Chris Azubog is here. Welcome. Okafor Ogechukwu Esquire, who is representing His Excellency Chief Willie Obiano, the Executive Governor of Anambra State, the Action Governor. Where is the engineer? Where is he? Oh, please come this way. Please come. Please come. Come. Please, you are the governor we are seeing. My governor. I also have Dr. Mrs. Mariam Sali, Director, Student Support Services, NUC, representing the Executive Secretary of NUC, Professor Abubakar Adamu. Please, where is she? Thank you very much, ma'am, for being here. I think we've heard the 2 reviewers. They reviewed the 2 books. And I think we will devote some minutes to be able to have some reactions, responses. We have at least, let me see. We have about 15 minutes, if I'm correct, about 15 minutes for us to react.
Good day to the General, the Officer and Gentleman, former Minister, and a man who has continued to contribute his quota to the country. And we will follow your footsteps. I will make sure that at 75, I will be doing it with a book to myself, to keep my brain active. But I haven't read the book, but listening to Frank Nweke when he spoke about pulling Nigeria off the brink, and also listening to the review of the second book, Nigeria Beyond Oil, I feel that these are very two critical books at this time. This is very candid advice to Nigeria. First, the need for us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. And invariably, what I see today and what I hear is that we all have to come together as a people and understand that there is life after politics and there is life after governments. Governments will come and go, but the country will remain. Politics will come and go in the season, but the interest of people will remain. And for example, children that were born in 1999, when Obasanjo took power, are 19 years old today. If they haven't attended a good primary school, if they haven't attended a good secondary school, their future is already imperiled because 19 years, the foundation of their time has gone. So it is critical that at this time that we begin to think of Nigeria, that what is on trial in Nigeria is not the government. It is democracy that is on trial. It is our ability to come together as a people and resolve national conflict that is on trial. It is our ability to rise to the level of General Yakubu Gowon when he said, "No victor, no vanquished," rehabilitation and reconciliation in 1970, that made it possible for Nigeria not to be like other countries that went through civil war. It is a Nigeria that is of the expectation that post-2015, continuing to 2019 and beyond 2019, elite consensus is critical for us to understand the need to build a nation that goes beyond just looking at the issues of where you come from, which party you belong to, and who voted for you and who didn't vote for you. We need to come to that point in Nigeria where we understand that we have a sacred mandate as all members of the political elite, of the economic elite, to make it possible for us to resolve issues, to make it possible that when headsmen are killing people in the northeast, it is not a northeast problem. When the kidnappers were kidnapping people in the south-south, it wasn't a south-south problem. It became a national problem. When the people of the southeast were shouting of marginalization, it's not a southeast problem. It is a national problem. And I believe that what this book has done for us today is bringing us back from that brink and putting us on a reset button to reimagine the idea of Nigeria, to re-engage with the philosophy of Nigeria, and to build a nation that 50 years hence we will look back at these days and said, we contributed our quota. So on that note, I would like to very warmly thank the celebrant and wish him many more years. One of the things I will do is that there's a few things I would have loved to say here, but I will keep them so that I will say the first one on his 80th birthday when he will be launching 2 other books, and I will say the remaining on his 100th birthday.
Pulling Nigeria out from the brink, isn't it? That's what we're talking about. And one particular family our general represents is the army. The army has been given the sole responsibility to protect us from aggression, wherever it's coming from, isn't it? And then we'll have somebody here representing the Chief of Army Staff, Brigadier General Chukoye. The army has done so much in helping pull Nigeria out of the brink. Do you have any perspectives you want to share with us here now? Yeah. Welcome him as he...
Thank you very much, the chairman and the celebrant. I will not want to talk here for now because I am not the spokesman of the Nigerian Army.
I hear you.
Thank you very much.
No, you're talking as a Nigerian now. Okay. You see, the man don't dodge. Anyway, like I said, our general represents so many networks here. The army, because of structure, I wish Shehu Yar Adua was here, he would have said something, isn't it? And so I would like to also come back to one of the key things that came out in the book, and that's the issue of demography. Why we must go back to it and look at how we are having children, are we taking good care of them? The warrior, where is she? I think I saw her name. Where is she? She gone. The warrior, do you want to say one or two things, please, to the book that has just been reviewed and the things coming out of it? How do we make sure Nigeria does not tip over?
First, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First, I want to congratulate General Momah on his 70th birthday. No, 75th, I'm sorry. Oh, yes, 75th birthday. And to wish him many, many happy returns of the day, and to wish him a greater future in robust health. And may he continue to grow and do Nigeria proud as he has done. And may he continue to write more books. We are here to read. What can I say about bringing Nigeria, he says, pulling Nigeria off the brink? And then the question is, what is the brink? What are we pulling Nigeria off from? If you are active and you engage yourself and read all that is going on in the social media, you'll be really scared. You'll be terrified of the future of Nigeria, what is happening and what is going to happen. And indeed, the impression is that there is no future at all for Nigeria. That is, for some people, or for many people indeed, we have already fallen off the cliff. But there are some, as you read along, you come across some restraining minds. And the thing I want to caution us about today is that we should not be amongst those who add more fuel to the fire. As bad as the situation is now in Nigeria, the greatest service anybody can do to Nigeria is to speak with caution, is to restrain oneself in reaching conclusions, is to restrain oneself in proposing aggressive action, because that will lead us nowhere. Then we will really we would have just fallen. So, all of us who are here, who are friends of General Momah, and we followed, I haven't read the book, but from the reviews, you could see that General Momah was very mature in his tackling of the issues, the problems. He was not inciting, he didn't incite, he was analytical, and he was very cautious in his recommendations of solutions. And I want us to emulate him, and I want to advise all of us, in appreciation of this great friend of ours in whose honor we are gathered today, let us exercise the same caution. Let us exercise the same restraint. And it doesn't help when you just hear some information without cross-checking, without finding out whether it's true, confirming, you begin to spread it all over. Please, let us exercise caution. And by the grace of God and by the action of all positive-minded Nigerians, Nigeria definitely will survive. Thank you.
We would like to hear The Igbo man will say the Onune Furu, the president. The man that speaks for the president. I speak.
Mr. Chairman, General Sam Momah, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Well, let me stress that I'm speaking for myself now. And not for the president. And I thank our sister Amomi that spoke last. She warned about measuring our words. Because in most of the countries where we had genocide, as former Minister Franco Weke Jr. has told us copiously, words contributed a lot to what happened. And as the situation is now in Nigeria, we live very dangerously. Very, very dangerously. Looking at the topic, you know, the familiar phrase we hear is pulling something from the brink. And I was asking myself, why did General Momah use off the brink? And I began to guess that maybe he felt it was not enough to pull Nigeria from the brink, because many times we have been pulled from the brink. Civil war, June 12, every election we have, we are pulled from the brink. It's now time to pull Nigeria off the brink.
Completely.
Completely. Take it away from the brink. If there is one country that knows how to live dangerously, it is Nigeria. It is Nigeria. And many times we survive by grace, by good fortune, and maybe simply because the divine powers intervene. But it will get to a time that even the divine powers can be tired of us. If there is one country that tries the divine powers, it's Nigeria. It's Nigeria. And I believe that we should get to that point when we are pulled completely off the brink and we begin to live as a nation. We find ourselves today as a conglomeration of ethnic nationalities that have not been forged into a nation. Nigeria must get to that point where we become a nation. That is my thought. And the second one, Nigeria Beyond Oil. When I got the letter of invitation from the general, he specifically spoke that what he has in mind about restructuring is not the popular restructuring that we hear today. Because whether we like it or not, the restructuring we hear today has been politicized. If an ethnic nationality will come out and say, unless you tell us that you will restructure the country, we won't vote for you. That means restructuring has been politicized. And the kind of restructuring that Nigeria needs is broader than that. We restructure our minds, we restructure our thoughts, we restructure the way we relate, not just the physical restructuring. It's broader than the political restructuring that we hear about. So I'd like to thank the general for these two books. And I'll say something. I think it was 2015. This government had just come. He sent some of his books to me and asked me to pass them to the president. And I remember that night I went to the residence and I said, from General Sam Momah. And the president said, oh! And he told me they served together, was it in Ikeja or somewhere? The president mentioned where they served together and he said, please, get back to him and tell him that I appreciate these books. I'm sure that when Dr. Boboy gets copies of this book and he gets to the president, he will appreciate you again, General. Thank you very much.
Let me finally give the last space for this bit of review in terms of comments and feedback to the man that is here representing our president, Dr. Boboy. He's shaking his head vigorously. Okay, let's say as a person, do you accept that? Okay, let me move away from him. Is there any other volunteer before we move on to the next? Yes, sir. Your name, sir? and then tell us.
Thank you very much. My name is Sam Momah. I'm representing Mr. Shehu Yar Adua of Nigerian Export Promotion Council. Let me congratulate the celebrant today for a well-deserved honor, and to express that Mr. Shehu Yar Adua himself would have loved to be here, but this invitation came yesterday while he was in Lagos, and he called, and he said, Sam, you have the same name with the celebrant, so you are going to be there for me. And I thank God that I'm here today. My interest specifically is on the second book, Nigerian Beyond Oil. I think for a long time, probably we didn't know that one day oil will finish, and therefore we have relaxed so much that there was no contingency plan to develop our products so that they can be marketable and have good market access to other countries of the world. We have slept on so many things. Our research and development have not done much to help our products. Most of our products, by the time they go out there, they are either rejected because of quality issues, or they don't meet up with standards. All those things have been left for so long that makes our products uncompetitive at international markets.
That change of government should not affect those type of issues. We had thought that federal character had become an issue that everybody had accepted in Nigeria. But we still see people making appointments that go against the federal character principle. So I think that the more and more we begin to accept some of the what I call the agreed values of our country, some of them, in my view, should not be forever, but they should be time bound. I believe that the idea of federal character would be to give people the opportunity to have equal opportunity, but not equal outcomes. So we are hoping that Shehu Momah's book will be another reminder, another pull for our leaders in the country to come together and work for what I call reimagining Nigeria.
We all agree that this is a country that has lived dangerously many times and has been on the precipice for a long time. Therefore, that book is very apposite, is very relevant. Nigeria cannot continue to live dangerously. It should be pulled completely off the brink, from the brink, and become a nation state. We know that Nigeria is a conglomeration of ethnic nationalities that are yet to be forged into a nation state. We need to get there. It's taken rather long for us to become a nation state, and it's time that we all begin to pull together in the same direction so that we are not just a conglomeration of ethnic nationalities, but a nation state. I think that's the challenge of that.
You made a comment now that we cannot continue to live dangerously. Do you agree that Nigeria is dangerous?
That's why I said it. We live dangerously. You can see all the manifestations of dangerous living in this country. And if we are going to become a nation state, we will have to eschew a lot of things. Eschew malice, eschew hatred, eschew bitterness, eschew hate speeches, and collaborate more with government, particularly a government that means well for Nigeria like this one. Collaborate with it so that we get the country of our lives. It has taken too long.
Nigeria, we are the desired tenants. Nigeria, we are described as people who forget cash in taxes. So where do we go? So I think if we are lucky, we still see that, but I think I'm trying to I was thinking as we respond to the second presentation. But I think what also has resonated is structuring, adjustment, and I use that we are talking about, structure is structure. The people are saying that it's not just political that is really important, that the change has to happen. And that's what Mohammed is missing. The change should start from who? From us, from me. And then, in other words, we should restructure our minds like Niger State has just underlined. And I think that's what I want to end that particular session on how to improve Nigeria up. But I think that is the great thing we have. Not put it back. Put it completely off. I'm going to donate that pulling Nigeria completely off the BRINK. Let's give ourselves a good round of applause. Before we go to the next one, I want to recognize Alex who is representing Also, we have Mr. Gabriel Abuja, Permanent Secretary, Office of the AGM, and is representing our amiable AGM. That is Mr. Abuja. Give him a good round of applause. And of course, Professor Charles, of which we have already heard you speak. You're welcome. Let's give him a round of applause. I think the next review, we need to maybe have 10 minutes. Sure. I'm getting tired because of the review of restructuring Nigeria beyond oil. Beyond oil. We have a constituency here, women. The men, you can crucify me as much as you want, but I think our salvation will come from women. Women, say yes. Yes. And say yes now. Yes. Because the desires of women are much more less than the desires of a man. So I would want to start by asking the woman that is representing women here, the Permanent Secretary from the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, Mrs. Ifeoma Anambra, to please give us a thought. How do you think women can be part of restructuring beyond oil for us to make sure that we have a country that all of us will be?
From the review, actually pieces of great work. Talking about, or my perspective about, from the women's point of view, about restructuring Nigeria beyond oil, I'd like to first of all say that we women should be given space in the country. Yes. And when I say space, I mean space, ramifications, politics, showing what we're made of, and showing what we can give. Because I know that investing in women is investing in the country and in generations. We have the head there, we have the neck and the rest of the body, and we know who and what gender take up those places. Women should be encouraged to do what they can. We have so much to give. And I know the country is doing a lot presently to support women, to encourage women. Mr. President, His Excellency the President, General Muhammadu Buhari, he's done so much to encourage women. He's launched the act against violence on women and persons. He's done so much to support women through grants, the NAWEF, additional support for women, that he gave funds for women, and then he's done so much to promote small, medium enterprises, of which most women have found themselves in, doing. And he's also done so much to encourage women. We can go higher than that, but we are asking men so that we can show what we can do. We do excel in so many fields. And I do not want to say so much, there are a lot of us here, but I know we can do so much. And it doesn't have to be oil. We do produce, we do market, We take care of our homes and we take care of our husbands.
Yes.
Yes, so. I didn't hear you people give her a grand round. We now have lights, but we still don't have sound. One side. I think here it's one-sided. I think it didn't have partial stroke. So it's one-sided now.